Hello, parents and families. We're super excited that you're here today as part of our Family U Chat series. We are doing this series as a way to make sure families are educated on the things that they need to know to support their student. And so we do this as a series, and our series are always recorded. We put them on our YouTube, on our website, and on our Facebook. And so this is really just a way for families to get answers to their questions, to connect them to the important folks on campus who can answer their questions, tell them about different processes and procedures. And so today I'm joined by our Bursar, Erin Shadle, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about paying your bill and all of the things that you need to know about understanding the financial components and your responsibilities and your students' responsibilities towards the university. And so without me talking too much, I'm just going to turn it over to Erin.
Thank you, Jonathan, and I'm gonna share my screen, so can you just, Jonathan, check me to make sure that this is actually the screen?
Absolutely. We can see your presenter view. So
Okay, hold
I think,
on.
do you think you can swap it?
This is why I need you here. Um,
And that is what I'm here for.
okay, so let me see. Hold on one second, I'm gonna try this one more time. Okay, can you see it now?
It's beautiful and perfect.
Okay, thank you so much. So, hello everyone. My name is Erin Shadle. I'm joining you from the Bursar's office here at UMass Amherst. We do have a small group this morning. So, what I'd like to do is go over what the agenda is for me, what I'm going to be talking about this morning. And if you have any questions, certainly submit them and I will answer them along the way. So, as I said, I'm here visiting you from the Bursar's office. The Bursar's office is the office on campus that is responsible for student billing and payments. So we are here this morning to give you some information about the fall semester, wrapping up the fall semester, spring registration, and spring bills. So we'll get started. So on the agenda, we have spring 2025 registration, which is going to be open soon, and how an outstanding bill for the fall could potentially impact registration for the spring. I'm going to give you a heads up on spring 2025 bills, when they should be available, when they're due. And then I'll spend a little time talking about tax statements as we get to the end of the tax year. There is a tax statement available to students who have paid educational expenses throughout the tax year. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So, spring 2025, important dates to remember. Registration opens November 12th. So currently, any student who has a balance still owed for the fall semester has a hold on their account. It's called a registration hold. Students and delegated access users were notified by email, excuse me, that a hold has been placed on the account due to an unpaid balance. Some students will panic at this, so it's very important to understand that registration opens November 12th. The holds go on close to a month before registration begins to allow students with enough time that they can resolve their balance issues. And registration remains open until February 5th. So that's also an important note. If you at this point have not paid the tuition bill for fall semester and you pay it, let's say December 10th. At that point, your student's registration hold will be lifted and they will be able to register for spring. So, again, spring registration starts November 12th. We do have a procedure where we will, what we refer to as ramp on students. So, seniors will register first, then juniors, then sophomores, and freshmen. So, your student may not be registering on the 12th, but it starts the 12th and remains open until February 5th. So spring 2025 bills, if we jump ahead here, and again, I will answer any questions you might have, especially about the fall. We are still in the fall semester. As we jump ahead to spring, for you to plan ahead, spring bills will be available after the first of the year. So we do not bill students for the spring semester before December 31st. It will be the first full week in January that you can expect those bills to be available, and they will be due February 10th. It's important to note here that classes start before February 10th. So the bill is due after classes begin for the spring semester. And in part, that's because of I call it the scrunch, the short period of time between the fall semester and the spring semester. So the due date is February 10th. You can expect the same bill that you received in the fall with very little changes, unless your student has changed their room or their meal plan for the spring. If your student had scholarship information or scholarship awards that were only for one semester, um, or if your student has had a significant change in credits, they went from full-time to part-time. Other than that, you should expect roughly the same amount to be due for the spring semester. Financial aid will stay the same, the tuition and fees will stay the same. And as with the fall semester, we do have a payment plan available for the spring semester. So if you're interested in that, it's 5 monthly installments that start in January. Even though the bill is not due until February, we do have a payment plan that will allow you 5 installments from January through May. If you decide to enroll closer to the due date, you will have 4 installments, February through May. So the end date is always the same, even if the start date differs. And we do have a question, so I'm going to stop really quick. My daughter received outside scholarship and the bill was updated, but the monthly charge was not updated. So it sounds like this student is in a payment plan. Any changes to the bill, reductions will not adjust the payment plan automatically. You do need to go in. You can do this on your own. You can go in and adjust your payment plan so that the monthly payments are reduced based on the new incoming award. Or you can contact our office and we can certainly do that for you, either walk you through the process or make the change on your behalf. So if you are having trouble reducing your payment plan, just give us a call. And this would be the payment plan for the fall semester. So we have a second question. My son is currently studying abroad and will return to Amherst for the spring semester. How will this, if any, impact the spring semester bill? So returning from abroad does not affect the spring semester bill in the sense that there are no additional fees. However, it will look much different than the fall. So in the fall semester, if your student was studying abroad, the fee structure is very different. It would depend on whether or not you paid the host school that your son was attending or you paid UMass. And if you paid UMass, the fees may be different because the tuition at the host school is different. So what you can expect for the spring bill is likely more in line with what you paid for last spring if your student is continuing. You can find a list of all of our tuition and fees on our website and feel free to give us a call and we can walk you through that as well. So UMass was paid directly. So that means that it's likely that your son was charged exchange rates, meaning that he was not charged a full list of tuition and mandatory fees. And that's what you can expect for the spring. The financial aid will stay the same. Okay, so he is a freshman. So your student started in the study abroad program, first year abroad. So the bill will be almost the same. That's a very different situation. So for those parents on the call who don't have students who are abroad for the first semester, we do offer a first semester abroad program, and the fees will mirror what you would be charged here at UMass if you attended. So there shouldn't be much difference. If you have any questions to the gentleman I'm referring to, if you have any further questions, feel free to give us a call in the Bursar's office and we'll help you out. Another question, is there additional tuition for 19 credits? No. Students are charged a maximum of 12 credits. That is considered a full-time student. Any credits above 12, provided they are university credits and not through our University Without Walls program, will not have additional fees. So if your student is registered in anything above 12 credits, they are charged the maximum tuition amount, which is 12 credits. My daughter signed up for winter session. Winter session is a great question and something that I haven't covered. Um, Winter session is runs from the end of December through January. Students are charged at the time that they register, and we bill monthly. So any student who has winter charges will expect to bill this month. Around the 15th of November is when we're going to send our bills out. That will include winter charges, and they are due by January 10th. So you will see an invoice that says that the initial bill is due on December 10th. That's for fall. Any fall related or remaining charges. Any winter charges are due January 10th. So I'll keep going with the slideshow and answer the questions as they come up. So spring 2025 bills, we discussed that. You should not expect to see them before the end of this uh, calendar year or before the first of next year. The other thing I want to spend a little time talking about is 1098T tax statements. So any student, I'm going to say student, but if you claim your student as a dependent or if you paid the fees, you can claim this credit on your taxes potentially. But any student who paid educational expenses during the tax year of January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024 will receive a 1098T tax statement from UMass Amherst. On this statement will include any eligible fees that were paid and any financial aid awards that the student received. The 1098T tax statement is in the student's name and social security number. The students can access and print this form online if they need to print it through their Spire access. Any parent set up as a delegate will also have access to this form. So if you do not have delegated access yet, I would encourage you to talk to your student about setting that up. And I will get to that in just a few moments. But the 1098T tax statement is available to our students, and it will have information including the amount that was paid and the amount of financial aid the student received. This information is for informational purposes only. What you do, and I'm not a tax professional, but what you would do is you would then input this information either on the forms that you're filling out through through TurboTax if you're doing it that way, or hand it to your tax preparer, and they will determine whether or not you qualify for a tax credit. So this statement itself does not list anywhere the amount of your tax credit. It's information to be used to determine whether or not you qualify. The 1098T forms are available around mid-January. As with any other tax form, they have to be available no later than January 31st, but typically they are available the second to third week in January for students to access or print. So a little more information on 1098T tax statements. Students who paid for the qualified educational expenses, so as we said, or if they received financial aid during the year, uh, those students will be issued a 1098T tax form. Qualified tuition and related expenses are the only fees that count on this form and the only fees that will be recorded on this form. This includes tuition and mandatory fees, and they are all listed here on this screen for you. And I believe this presentation will be available on the parent website. So
That's
you can always,
correct.
that's correct. Thank you, Jonathan. So you can always refer back to this. It's some pretty good information about what are eligible expenses. And included below is what are non-eligible educational expenses. So if you paid your student's tuition bill and you paid their tuition, room, meal plan, and you also pay for their student health insurance, only the tuition and fees are going to be reported on the 1098T. Room, meal plan, health fees, and the other fees that you see listed here will not be reported because they are not what the IRS refers to as qualified expenses. Um, if your student does not receive a 1098T statement for tax year 2024, this could be why. Students whose qualified expenses were entirely waived or paid by scholarships, um, you will not receive a 1098-T statement. So any student who, for instance, if a student is an employee, all their fees are waived. So that does not, you will not be receiving a 1098-T statement. Students who do not have a valid permanent address on file at the university. So students are asked for their address information when they log into Spire. You should make sure that your student's address is up to date. It's very rare that a student does not have a valid permanent address, but um, if your student did not get the 1098-T form, that might be a reason. If your students don't have a valid social security number, or non-resident aliens who are not tax residents of the United States will not receive a 1098-T statement. I do have a link to more information both on our website, which is the Bursar's office website, and the IRS website. If you care to read their publication, there's a link to it here. I can tell you it's quite wordy. So we kind of tried to summarize it for you to make it a bit easier. I'm going to stop here just for a moment. There is another question. Can the meal plan be adjusted for spring semester? The answer is yes. Your student has the option to change their meal plan for spring. They do so through Spire. And when they do so through Spire, that site will be open after January 1st. So after January 1st, they can go in and change their meal plan up until the end of the add drop period, which is February 5th. I've been asked to repeat what I said at the beginning of the 1098-T conversation. So the 1098-T information and the statement is in the student's name. The student can claim the tax credit if they were paying their tuition, or the parent who claims the student as a dependent can claim the tax credits or determine whether or not you have the ability to claim a tax credit. So I'm going to say it in words that might be easier to understand. I had a student in college. His name is Jeff. Jeff got a 1098-T tax statement in his name with his social security number on it. I was able to determine whether or not I qualified for a tax credit based on his 1098-T statement because I claimed him as a dependent because he was my child and I claimed him as a dependent on my taxes. I want to reiterate I am not a tax professional, so you should definitely consult a tax professional if you have detailed questions on who can or cannot claim a 1098-T tax credit for paying educational expenses. One thing I mentioned earlier is delegated access. So for those of you on the webinar today who have not received a bill from UMass for the fall, or have not received communication from the bursar's office about any holds, should they apply, that means you're not signed up for delegated access. If you are not able to log into your student Spire account with your own credentials, your own login and password, your student has not yet signed you up for delegated access. I would encourage that you have this conversation with your student and have them sign you up for delegated access. This will give you access to billing. We will notify you when the bills are available as well as your student. You will have direct access to the 1098-T statement, tax statement, and you will have limited access to financial aid and housing, as well as any holds that are on your student's account. So this just allows you to help them, your students, better navigate the financial aspects of their education. They are the ones responsible for making sure their bill is paid on time, making sure their fees are waived. But as a parent of a recent college student, I understand how critical a parent's assistance is during this time. So I would encourage you to talk to your student about having them add you as a delegated access user. FERPA, the other thing I want to mention is you may hear the term FERPA as you go through your journey here at UMass. FERPA is the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. It protects students' education records, and that includes their financial records. So in order to speak with you by phone, because the student is not with you and you're not logging directly into the Spire account with your own credentials, we need to know that your student said we could talk to you. Even if you pay the bill, we still need your student's permission to speak with you. So a student can waive their FERPA right to allow designees to contact us and access financial information by phone. You'll be given a FERPA access code. Your student will set that up for you. Have this conversation with your students so they pick a 4-digit code that you'll remember and not a random code that you have no idea what it is. Your student sets this up for you because, again, the student owns all of this information and has to give permission to share it with anyone. So if your student has not signed you up with FERPA, if you don't know what a FERPA access code is and you haven't been given one, please have this conversation with your student. I do have a question. My daughter signed me up for delegated access, but I have not received an email to log in to Spire. So if you would contact the bursar's office, there may be a step that your daughter missed, or if not, we can resend you the email. So if you want to contact our office and explain that that's what's happening, we can resend you the email that has the instructions for how to log into Spire. So that is the process. Your student would add you as a delegated access user, and then you would get an email with instructions on how you log into Spire, which is the student's record, using your own logon ID and password. So if you have any questions or any problems with that, feel free to give our office a call and we can certainly help you directly. Let me see. That actually is all that I had for today. So we're at the end of the fall semester. It's really just a matter of cleaning up any balances owed for fall and preparing for spring. We try not to bother you over the holidays. So while I have the opportunity on behalf of my office, the Bursar's office, I certainly want to wish you and your family a happy and healthy holiday, Thanksgiving first, and then Christmas, Hanukkah, and all the other holidays that come right after. So we wish you nothing but the best. And I can wait another minute if it's okay with Jonathan to see if there's any last minute questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to use the Q&A feature to ask any questions that you have, and then we'll make sure that they get answered.
So I did get one. Will the student registration be hold for scheduled payment? So I believe the question is, will the student have a registration hold if they are on a payment plan? So our payment plan are scheduled payments, and at this point in the semester, it is likely that you have two payments remaining if you're on our payment plan, the November installment and the December installment. We count both of those payments to determine what the student's outstanding balance is. Meaning, if you owe $500, but you have a payment scheduled for November of 250 and for December of 250, we consider you paid. So there will be no registration hold on the student account. However, if you owe $5,000 and you have a payment scheduled in November for $250 and December for $250, you still have an outstanding balance that needs to be accounted for, and there will be a hold on the student account. So speak with your student, and if they find it's better to do it now rather than on the day of registration, speak with them now, have them look at their Spire account. If you are a delegated access user, take a look at the holds and to-dos section. If your student has a registration hold, that means there's something not adding up, that either the payment plan you were on does not cover the full amount or something of that nature. But if your payment plan um, does cover the full amount, your student will not have a hold on their account. The other question, when does the application for UMass scholarships open and who can apply? So UMass scholarships are available through a tool called Academic Works. Our financial aid office's website has this link. You can probably go on the UMass website and just search for Academic Works. It allows students to put in some information about themselves, including what their major is, what their interest is, and then any scholarships that are available from departments. Um, the student will be notified that those scholarships are available. So there's no application time frame. Instead, it's open. It's open now. It's open throughout the year, as students can apply it, put their information in at any time.
And I sent the link to that person so that they can have their students sign up.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Any other questions for Erin?
Okay. It
Yeah.
was a pleasure to talk to all of you this afternoon. If there are any other questions that my office can be helpful with, please feel free to contact us. We can be reached by phone, in person, also by Zoom. We can set up a Zoom appointment with you if you'd like. But don't hesitate to reach out if there are questions that I didn't answer today or questions that come up in the future.
All right. Thank you all so much for coming to this part of our Family U Chats webinar. It will be posted on our website, and we look forward to continuing to engage with you. The next one we have coming up is in a couple of weeks, and it is about navigating off campus life. And so we hope to see you there. Thank you all, and have a great rest of your day.